Welcome to No Control RC. Well, I've had the Mini LMT for over a full day now, and per usual, I can't leave well enough alone. I have some ideas for this, and I really want to make it full-wheel steer like I did to my full-size LMT. Now, a lot of these parts are on back order, so I actually robbed them from another truck at the moment to be able to do this, and we might need some more parts down the way, but I've got all the parts right here that we're going to need to start. So we might as well dig in and start tearing apart the son of a digger, see if we can make it full wheel steer. First things first, we're going to get the back tires off. And Brennan was the last one to drive the truck. It's dirty. Now, this should be pretty straightforward. We stole all the front assembly off another truck to take the rear assembly off. This truck should bolt right up. If it's just like the big size ones, then it won't be an issue at all. But we very well could run into an issue. Now that we have the wheels and tires and the 12mm hexes off, you'll see we'll have to dive into this. And what I learned on removing this from the other truck is you actually have to loosen the cases to be able to fit the ears out of the end of the axle. So what we're going to have to do is go in, loosen everything, and be able to pull it apart enough to slide those in. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a little more work. So what you can see here on the table is we have the steering casters, the servo mount, the full steering knuckles, steering arm, servo still mounted up, and we have the front axles along with the screws and hardware we need. That should be everything we need minus a Y harness and maybe a servo reverser to be able to put full wheel steer in this. At least the easy way. I'm probably not going to be happy with the way it turns out and have to adjust from there. But we'll try this way first. So now what we got to do is we got to pull these right here off, these rear steering blocks. We're going to pull these rear blocks off the rear end right here, because that's where the steering knuckles will actually go. How am I doing this by hand? That's that. And the rear, instead of having this style U-joint, is just a solid dog bone with another cup piece that goes in the end there. We're going to set that aside for now. And now we got to do this side. Now it's just 4 bolts. Just like so. Set it aside. Make sure you have a nice container so you don't lose any pieces, because you may want to convert this back over. Look at the mess this truck is making on the bench. It's probably my fault. Actually, I know it's my fault. So now, those are off. What we have to do is be able to get into and take apart these screws in here. So essentially, we're going to take the axle. We're going to take the links, undo them so we can flip the axle up to get better access to all that. So as you can see, as you pull those off, you can spin the rear end out some. Now you do actually need to remove the sway bar mounts here and these link mounts from the rear end to get the rear end separated enough to be able to get the new axles in. So we're going to start with getting the shocks off. Now these screws are very small, so be mindful that they do strip easy. Even the big LMT screw set that came on those trucks stripped easy as well. I learned that because I took a million of those things apart. Now you may be thinking, it's a brand new truck. You've run less than 7 or 8 batteries through it. Why are you already ripping it apart, making it 4-wheel steer? Well, that's just kind of what I do. Usually can't leave well enough alone. And I just keep modifying stuff. Sometimes for the worse, but mostly for the better. A few times I've been like, yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. But it shouldn't deter you from trying things down the road. Is there a 4-wheel steer one of these out there already? If there is, I haven't seen it. So this will be the first one that I've seen. All right. Pull the sway bars off, just like so. See, now we have the rear end fully exposed, so we can start loosening and removing all the stuff that we need to be able to get deeper down inside of there to swap these axles with the ones that we need to be able to steer. Now we have the link mounts off, loosened up to the point where I believe we should be able to get in there. Just enough to fend angle these out. Just like that. And just like that. Now what we need to do is put these in its place. Now can we get these in? Well, that might be another question. Oh, look at that, huh? There's one. There's two. Each one works. Look at that. We're on a roll now. Now actually we can go back in and retighten all those so we don't have to worry about those falling out of place. We got the links back on the, now that we have the link mounts back on the bottom, what we need to do is take these two little tiny nuts. They need to be inserted up in the thing that holds the steering servo mount. And now that those are in, take the servo mount and put it where it belongs. Right here. You can use power tools, but don't wind them right in. And you shouldn't really, even with a hand one, you shouldn't tighten it fully until you get all the screws started. No different than a big vehicle. And we got one more. There's one steering side on. Now we got to do the next. All right, now that we have everything back attached, the axles are in, the drive shaft's reattached, we have the sway bar mounts started, we need to put the nuts and bolts in there. Once we do that, then we can move on to mounting the steering assembly. All right, sway bar is attached. Now, we're going to get to the steering assembly itself. Make sure that your bearings are still intact. Make sure that it's going the right way. So this is the way that's going to mount. So we loop onto one side here, like so. And then we finagle it in like that. Get the bearing to go with it. sure the shafts are still installed. Now we can start the kinping screw here on the bottom to keep it from falling apart. One top and bottom. These are the specialty screws. They only have threads on the top, the bottom smooth. Those are the ones for the steering knuckles themselves. So we got those started. Now we can remount the lower links. In like so, and in like so. Good and snug. Servo goes in like so. 2 screws for that. There's 1. And here's 2. Now, I just need the top 2 kinping screws here. There's 1. Dog bones. Throw them aside with all the factory parts that you don't need at the moment, but you will need if you ever want to put back. All right, so as you can see, essentially you have the same thing you have on the front, now is on the rear. So this is reversed, would be my best guess, usually is. So we may need a servo reverser for this. I actually prefer to set up my 4-wheel steer vehicles on a separate channel, but with this ESC receiver combo, only 2-channel as best as I could tell. Remote's 2-channel. So this will work for now. It's just going to be full-time 4-wheel steer. And if I don't like the way that drives down the road, well, you know, maybe a brushless setup, a 315 receiver, and we can have independent 4 steer like my El Toro Loco LMT. But I'll try this for now. See how I like it. Get the tires mounted back on. All right, all tightened down. So what do we got? Well, now we got to route this wire where it won't be in the way of anything else. Now these servos have extremely short wires on them. Let's get that up. Do have a Y harness. What we're going to do is we're going to go 1 here. Like so. Brown. Like so. Now this Y harness will plug into where the original servo plugged into, and let's see what we're working with here. Well, they all have power. As I said, we're going to need a servo reverser to reverse how this steers, because right now all you can do is crab walk, but we know it works. There's no binding. We'll get a servo reverser in here, and we should be ready to rock and roll.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare started. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? Sometimes you need to let loose, grab juice, get goose, tattoos, taboos, get screwed. Loosen up, buttercup, all those hate comments will never make you feel enough. We're all adequate graduates, heart full of calluses, but we know calculus. Damn, ain't that fabulous, can't wait to...
Remember how I said we needed a servo reverser? Well, I couldn't find any local, and I really didn't want to wait. So I went in, I opened the servo up, and I rewired it to operate in reverse. You can do that if you're good at soldering. This one was exceptionally tricky because of how small it is. We did get it to work. So there you go. You got 4-wheel steer going the right way now. It worked exceptionally well. It makes the truck a little different to drive because when the front and rear turn the same way, the same amount, it really whips the truck around, makes it a little unstable. That's why I normally like to set up my rear steer on a switch, and I usually only do 20 to 25%, 30 at the most of steering radius. With the front to fully crank, and the back you just want a little bit. That's the way I set up my launch trucks personally. In order to do that in this one, unfortunately, I'll have to change electronics on it. So I'm thinking brushless setup. I mean, if we got to change electronics, why not put a brushless in this and see what it can really do? Because out in a big parking lot, this does lack some top end speed. I mean, the truck is well balanced, and if you just have a little course, thing is fun as all can be. The power is just about right for that. But I also like to have a little extra power on hand if I ever need it. So, probably going to go put a brushless in this, set up the rear steer the way I like, switch this over to my DX5, and then we'll really be off and running with the Mini LMTs. But if you want to do 4-wheel steer on the cheap, this is the way to do it. All these parts you can order about $65 to switch the front parts onto the rear and create 4-wheel steer. Not overly expensive. You'll need a servo on top of that, but you can get those cheap. So if you're going to buy a new servo, an upgraded one, I would actually tell you to put it on the back, because if you actually get power going to these as the wheel cranks, it'll actually walk the servo a little bit. So if you put a stronger one on there with a good servo saver, a good tight one, you'll be able to hold the truck straight as you go. Other than that, I've had instances where they walk all over the place. It's not fun, but it's easily curable. Well, there you go. There's a way to make a Mini LMT 4-wheel steer using the factory parts. Let us know what you think. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. We are growing, and it's all thanks to you guys. Have a nice day.